Where we're growing grapes here is considered very fertile. In this particular block it's quite a deep silt soil, but as a consequence to all that fertility we end up with an enormous canopy, and that presents its own challenges with density and spraying and management. We do spend a lot more time trimming than a lot of people do in Marlborough, but it certainly comes through in the results. We are very pleased with the wine we make here, and our neighbours certainly get their fair share of medals out of the Marlborough district. We're only about 6 metres above sea level, so the water table is always present even in a very dry year, which we're having at the moment. So we're actually able to grow grapes without irrigation, which is pretty unique for New Zealand. We crop anywhere between 10 and 20 tonnes a hectare, so a good year on average for our total area would be about 2,000 tonnes. Certainly a considerable amount of fruit by Marlborough standards. Powdery mildew is our biggest challenge by far this season, certainly, and the last couple as well. 3 or 4 years ago we wouldn't spray past early January because there was seen as to be no need. If you were clean that stage you could get away with not spraying till harvest, whereas this year the sprayers are still running now in mid-February, early March. We've had no rain, but powdery mildew likes hot humid weather, and we're still having it now. But the good thing is there's plenty of chemicals to attack it. We've just got to get together the best program and use it in the best, most effective way. With powdery mildew you have to get everything right, but the main thing is to protect the new growth on a regular basis, and in Marlborough it seems that 14 days is the magic number. If you spray consistently from the start of the season every 14 days and protect all the canopy and the fruit, you will have good powdery control. Where I've come unstuck in the past with powdery is where I've stretched the intervals out to 20 days or more during a high risk period, and then you have powdery shows its face. One of the big benefits of the R series is basically the only setup you need to do with it is get the nozzles pointing in the right direction. Other than that it's pretty basic. It will run the whole season on the same set of settings, and all you have to do is, as the canopy grows, switch on extra nozzles and get your flow rates and pressure right. The hydraulic drive is fantastic, and I believe that it's becoming a much more standard feature on sprayers, and certainly compared to the sprayers I had with the power takeoff it gives you much better manoeuvrability, and it's one less thing that you don't have to worry about when you're operating around them as a spinning drive shaft. From quite early on in the development we changed to AI nozzles, air induction. We did it originally for reasons of recycling because it cuts down fines and allows us to throw the droplet across the row when it misses the canopy. But in actual fact the technology has quite good benefits for distribution on leaves and bunches. Really we were looking at it from the point of view that we do waste an awful lot of chemical with conventional spraying in the early season. You put up to 95% of the chemical on the ground and into the air when you're spraying a very small target, and it was just a way of saving some money and being better for the neighbours and passers-by, and that you're not putting clouds of chemical into the sky. I have used 2 different sorts of adjuvants quite a lot this season. One of the benefits of them is that it lets me use the same water rate all season long. I use 200 litres a hectare from bud burst through to full canopy, and manage the extra requirement of a full canopy by using adjuvants. They have slightly different properties, but I've had really good control and actually got really good coverage on a heavy Marlborough canopy at 200 litres a hectare, which cuts down my filling time. And trying to get round 140 hectares, anything that saves you time is worth doing, and certainly worth the money for the adjuvants. Especially in the early season, we save an awful lot of time from less trips to the filler hose. Quite often in an early season sulphur spray, a half full tank can last us 4 hours or more. When you compare that to conventional sprayers, your tank would be 2 hours of spraying at the most. We're certainly saving ourselves 20 minutes to half an hour several times a day, which makes a big difference to an operator. When we worked out the initial savings, we were saving about 25% of our chemical bill. On our 140 hectares, that works out conservatively at about $20,000 a year, which means that over the time I've owned the two sprayers, they have actually paid for themselves. The R-Series sprayer is very robust. It's pretty hard to break it. As far as sprayers go, that's a pretty important part of the design, is the last thing you want to do is have it fall apart after a couple of years. And I've been pretty happy with the strength of the design. We've had the older model for 7-8 years now, and it's still going strong. And that's pretty good for a sprayer in Marlborough conditions. I was involved from the start in testing the R-Series, and I approached it from the basis that it needed to do at least as well as the sprayer we owned previously, and I've been happy ever since with my coverage and control of disease. It's basically good quality gear and well supported too. I know that I can run into town and get spare parts any day of the week, and that does make a difference. I wouldn't be without the R-Series sprayer. There's nothing on the market that even comes close, just purely for the sake of the savings we make in the early season. And I'm happy to recommend them to anyone.